I give the floor to the presidential administration spokesman on ETO-related issues, Colonel Andriy Lysenko. Good afternoon, dear colleagues. The situation in the east of Ukraine deteriorated. The enemy increased the number of shellings, and now it uses heavy weapons more often. I mean, mortars and armored vehicles. Also, sniper war continues. In Lugansk area, the militants fired once using anti-tank weapon, and it happened in Slavyano-Serbsk region. In Donetsk area, the enemy violated ceasefire along the line of contact, and heavy weapons used in Svetlodarsk Bulge and in Gorlovka. And these were mainly precision shellings. And in the region of Donetsk airport, in Avdiivka and Pisky, the militants decreased the number of provocations and didn't use heavy weapons. In Mariupol area, the enemy focused its activity near Krasnogorovka and Mariinka. Namely, they used 82mm mortars 3 times and 120mm mortars twice. And once they fired at our positions using APC. Also, snipers were active in the suburbs of Donetsk in Trudovsky village. During the last 24 hours, in the result of the military actions, no Ukrainian serviceman was killed and 2 were wounded. According to intelligence service of MOD, in the result of 1 military clash with the forces of ATO in Zaitsevo, the militants from so-called 3rd Detached Motorized Brigade of DPR suffered serious losses. 8 militants died and 20 were wounded. Also, conflicts continue among the militants and local residents. In Novoazovsky region in Donetsk Oblast, local farmers demand to compensate for winter crops that were destroyed by the military equipment of the enemy. SBU of Ukraine detained a member of the militant formations, DPR military formation. In spring 2014, the militant met a recruiter of the enemy nicknamed Marfa, and after this he patrolled the streets of Slavyansk. And after the city was freed by ATO forces, he provided information about deployment and movement of Ukrainian troops in the region. And now, confessions of the militant. I started patrolling the streets, and it was before July started, and then Ukrainian military freed the city, and I was afraid to go to Donetsk, and I remained in Slavyansk. And in the week, in social networks, Marfa found me and said that I should provide information support to the militants. And I entered the groups of Novorossiya, and I reposted some calls to join the DPR, and also I collected information on ATO deployment and in my region, and I gave it to the militants. And now I am very sorry for what I did, and I want to address the residents of Ukraine and to the residents of Slavyansk and all Donbass. Remember that Novorossiya is headed by criminals, and if people like me will support them, nothing will change in our country. In Krasnoarmeysk, the militant nicknamed Lys turned himself into police.
The young man was in the ranks of the militant group for 2 months. He joined the group in autumn 2014. However, he understood that he would not receive the promised pie in the sky, so he fled from the occupied territory and hid out in other regions of Ukraine till he came to the law enforcement borders and surrendered. If after the check it would be found that he was not involved in the grave crimes, then he will be released from criminal liability. Another militant was detained in Constantininka in May 2014. A 20-year-old guy took part in building an illegal checkpost. Then he was disillusioned in the ideas of the Russian world and fled from the ranks of the militants. In Slavansk, the police officers seized clandestine arsenal from the residential house. The dangerous cash was found in Slavansk, and the law enforcement officers responded immediately. They seized live grenades, RGD-5 and F1 pieces for the barrel grenade launcher, 2 grams of TNT, more than 3,000 cartridges, and a box with signal missiles. A new generation of Ukrainian tankmen undergo training now. In particular, the graduates of the higher educational institutions are getting ready to pass final shooting tests using infantry fighting vehicles on the firing ground in Yavoriv. They are mastering all norms in the armored West, and the study center of the National Academy of the National State University, the students conducted planned training. This time the attention was paid to combat assaults and deployment on site. And today is the Remembrance Day of Crude Heroes. During his speech in Kiev Military Lyceum after Ivan Bagun, the president of Ukraine decorated young military men participants in a tour with medals and other awards. One of the military men who were decorated as Sergeant Yuri Kovtun, who received an order for braveness of the third grade. Yuri took part in the battle for Savur Mahila. Thanks to his braveness and professionalism of our soldiers and the commander of this unit, Yuri Kovtun, the subversive and reconnaissance group of the enemy was destroyed. 28 humanitarian loads passed through the checkpoints of Zaitsev and Novotroitsk to the occupied territories. The lorries brought food and child's food and medicines for a total amount of 500 tons from charitable organizations and the representative office of the UN